Hey there, Brew Crew! Welcome back to The Sixer, my series of shortlist videos. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you've likely heard the news that Klaus Teuber, the designer of The Settlers of Catan, Entdecker, and Hoity Toity, passed away at the beginning of April. It's difficult to put into words just how big of an impact he had on the board gaming scene. Catan was responsible for bringing so many people into the hobby and introducing many people in the US to Euro-style board games. I actually played Catan after I had been into gaming for a little while, and although it didn't really grab me like it did a lot of folks, I can't deny that it's one of the most important games to have come out in the modern gaming era. I think that a lot of gamers would consider Catan an essential game for anyone looking to start a game collection, and this got me thinking about what other games I would consider to be essential. So this Sixer is going to be all about games that I think would be great games to start out with if you're looking to get into the hobby. I tried to make sure that all of these games are available and tried to not pick anything that I thought would be too heavy or too complex for someone just starting out. These aren't necessarily gateway games or introductory games, and I tried to provide a variety of different types of games so that you can find what best suits your taste. Hopefully someone will find this list useful, so let's get started with my number 6. My number 6 game on this list is The Quacks of Quedlinburg. This fun push-your-luck bag building game has you brewing potions and trying to pull chits from a bag and move farther and farther down a track in your cauldron. If you ever have too much of a certain type of ingredient, though, your cauldron boils over and you bust for that round. In what I think is a good decision, in a game for newer players, though, this doesn't necessarily mean that you get nothing for the round. It just means that you have to make a choice between taking the points that will win you the game or purchasing more tokens that will make your future draws better. There are different levels of ingredients as well, which mean that you can scale up the complexity as you become more familiar with the game. There are also a few expansions out now, so if you'd like to add even more, you can. I think this is one that will work for a lot of folks, and that's why it's on my list at number 6, The Quacks of Quedlinburg. Number 5 on my list of essential games is Cascadia. This game has a great drafting mechanism, which appears in several other games as well, and that's this idea of combined drafting. You'll be pairing an animal token with a terrain tile, and when you draft, you must draft both together. This means that because terrain tiles and animal tokens score in specific ways and have certain placement rules, you need to be sure that you have a spot for them when you draft them, if you want to win. This is another game that allows you to scale up the complexity by using different animal objective cards, but its basic rules are simple enough that people brand new to gaming can easily pick it up. It also has a very pleasant theme that isn't esoteric, and it includes beautiful artwork by Beth Sobel. So that's my number 5 pick, Cascadia. I wanted to include an area control, area majority, troops on a map style game on this list because it's a pretty popular genre, but it's difficult to find one that I believe is essential or that is not overly complex for folks that may be newer to the hobby. I initially considered Ethnos, but then I found out that it's way out of print. So, instead, my choice is another easy to play area majority game called Mission Red Planet. This game combines area majority with a really fun, simultaneous action selection mechanism. Each round, players will choose a character card from their hand, each with a number associated with it, and an ability. Once everyone has chosen a card, they'll count down from 9 to 1, resolving the characters in order. These characters will allow you to place astronauts into rockets, or move your astronauts around on the surface of Mars. Once a character has been played, it can't be played again until a player plays the recruiter character, which allows them to pick up all of their previously played cards. This game is lightning fast, and a ton of fun to play, so that's my choice for number 4, Mission Red Planet. I think it would be hard to do a list of essential games at this point without listing Wingspan. This is a great engine building game with stunning production, beautiful art, and interesting gameplay. This is a game that has managed to transcend hobby board gaming in a way that I've seen very few other games manage to do. Even folks that I know who are not into the board gaming hobby at all have asked me if I've heard of Wingspan. The core mechanic of the game is fairly easy to understand. Your player board has 3 rows, and each row is a certain action type associated with it. So you'll place an action cube on the first open space in that row and take its benefits, then move the cube from right to left, activating each bird card along the way that has a when activated action. So as you play more cards, not only do you get better benefits from the action spaces, but you'll also build up better combos in the rows when you run your bird engine. Just like Cascadia, this one has a theme that will appeal to a wide audience, and ended up in my number 3 spot on this list. That's Wingspan. Number 2 on this list of essential games covers a couple of genres that I think belong in most people's collection, and that's co-op and worker placement, both of which are very popular. My choice for number 2 is Atlantis Rising. This game has a gorgeous production from Elk Creek Games and art from Vincent Dutrait, who is one of the most recognizable artists in board gaming. This game has players taking on the role of leaders of the island of Atlantis, trying to build a portal to save their people from the sinking island. They'll be doing that using a combination of worker placement and dice rolling to gather resources. But you have to be careful because the area of the island where you sent your worker may sink, causing you to abandon it. It's a tough game, but it helps that it is a cooperative game, so you can talk things through and strategize. A large portion of the actions taken in this game are simultaneous as well, meaning that there's not a ton of downtime in between turns. I also love the fact that each player takes the role of a specific leader, which will have a special ability that will help you out as you play. It's difficult, but a lot of fun, and a great example of a co-op game. That's Atlantis Rising. Okay, I had a really tough time narrowing it down for my last spot on this list, and there are a lot more games that would fit well on it. But I finally landed on The Castles of Burgundy. Now, this game is a bit heavier than most of the other games on this list so far, but I wanted to include something that would maybe push your comfort zone just a little bit, while still having fairly simple base rules. On your turn, you're rolling a couple of dice, and those dice will determine what actions are available to you that round. The reason I wanted to include this game in particular was because of the sense of discovery this game has. It's an easy enough game to learn, although you may not do great in your first game or two, but as you play, you'll figure out how to be more and more efficient with your turns. You'll learn how to combo your different buildings to accomplish multiple tasks, how to sell goods for money and points, or take over it as first player, which is very important in this game. Maybe it's not the first game you pick up, but I think it should not be an intimidating game to play relatively early on. There are a lot of games out there with a high level of discovery, but many of them are more complex or more difficult to learn. This was my intro to the midweight Euro genre, and I think that if that sounds like an interesting genre to you, then The Castles of Burgundy is a great game to dip your toe in with. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out and watching this episode of The Sixer. Before I go, I want to say one final thank you to Klaus Teuber for all he's done for this hobby. Let me know in the comments what games you think are essential for starting a game collection. I know there are a lot left that I didn't mention. And if you're new to the board gaming hobby, hopefully you found something useful in this list. And until next time, let's get another round for the table.